Welcome to Revelation Unraveled. I am your host, William Tapley, also known as the Third Eagle of the Apocalypse and the co-prophet of these end times. I want to take a short break in my series on that amazing prophecies from Natan, the 15-year-old Jewish boy, who saw a vision of the very near imminent destruction of Jerusalem. And the two most amazing prophecies were that Obama is Gog in Bible prophecy, and that he will be killed by the Mashiach in Bible prophecy. And I was skeptical at first, but now I realize both those prophecies are indeed found in the Bible. And as I say, I want to take a break from that series. And I have been getting quite a few comments on my videos about the so-called flat earth theory. And of course, up until now, all I have done is laugh because it is utter nonsense. But I know some of you have been taken in by this seduction of the end times. And I'm showing this picture of the full moon because this is one of the very obvious ways that these people are fooling you. And I did my research, and I noticed that 90% of these videos, and there are thousands upon thousands of them, were published on YouTube just in the past 12 months. YouTube has been on the internet for almost 10 years now. I believe their 10th year celebration is next month. And for 9 of those 10 years, there were hardly any videos posted on this flat earth nonsense. This tells me that there is some kind of suspicious activity for 90% of these videos to be posted in 1 year. Something very unusual is going on here. So I want to present to you my theories. I believe that Satan and his minions in the New World Order so far have not been able to figure out how to control the internet. Now they control the mainstream media. You will find nothing in the mainstream media, for example, on 9/11 truthers. You only find that on the internet, especially here on YouTube. Satan has not been able to remove those videos from YouTube. For example, more than 2,400 architects and engineers have petitioned Congress to reopen the 9/11 Commission. As I say, you won't find that in the mainstream media, and Satan does not want you to know about that either. So, I believe he and his minions are putting in their next best effort, and that is to pollute information on YouTube. And they are doing that by putting out this flat earth nonsense. What's interesting, as I viewed some of these videos promoting the flat earth, very, very few of them, if any, showed a full moon like this, or a clear image of the moon. The reason is obvious. This moon is a globe. It's a sphere. And it not only looks like a globe and a sphere, but if you look at the details, you will see what I mean. For example, the craters in the center of the moon, caused by meteorites, are circular. But if you look at the craters around the edges, up on the right-hand side, for example, there is a very large elliptical crater. And on the lower left, there are several other elliptical craters at the edges. That could only happen if the moon is spherical. If the moon were flat, as the flat earthers like to say, then all of the craters on the moon would be round. Another obvious example is the small light-colored crater at the bottom with rays emanating where the meteorite struck the moon. Those rays are circular. They are not straight. Not only is that crater an ellipse, if it were a flat moon it would be a circle, and the rays emanating would be straight lines. And another observation, which is not so clear on this view, you should really see a blow-up, and that is that the craters around the edges show shadows, which would not happen if the moon were flat. And other videos debunking the flat earth theory have shown this before, so this is not new. But this is the most obvious proof. There are many proofs that the earth is a globe, is a sphere, but the moon is the most obvious because you can see this with a binoculars yourself. So now you might ask, what does any of this have to do with Bible prophecy? Well, Scripture says that in the end times, we would be put under a strong delusion. Satan would fill us with lies. Let's look at 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 11. And for this reason, God shall send upon them a strong delusion. This is a prophecy of the end times. That they should believe a lie. Now, this is a prophecy from Paul about unbelievers in the end times. And this delusion comes from God. In fact, God is the one who is going to appoint the Antichrist over him. And Jesus tells us that Satan is a liar, as we read in John chapter 8, verse 44. Now, Jesus is talking to the scribes and Pharisees of his time, are of your father the devil, and the desires of your father you will do. When he speaks a lie, that is the devil, he speaks of his own, for he is a liar and the father of lies. So we should not be surprised that since Satan is in ascendancy in these end times, he knows his time is short, that he would be promoting lies all over the internet, especially to dilute the truth that you find on YouTube. Revelation 13, verse 3. And I saw one of his heads. Now, this is John prophesying about the Antichrist. This is why Satan is promoting lies in these end times, so that you will believe the lie. Because he is going to promote a tremendous false flag of his own. And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death. So this is an amazing false flag, because as John says, as it were. In other words, this is a phony event. This is a false flag. Satan wants you to get used to accepting his false flags. And his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. In other words, this false flag which the Antichrist will perpetrate will be shown all over the mainstream media. What I believe happens is that the Antichrist's head wound actually occurs to the false prophet. The Antichrist will heal the false prophet, and then, as Scripture says, all the world wonders after the beast. This is the key element in his being declared divine. It's the only false flag that I know of found in Scripture. And what the world's elite are doing is they are softening us up, so to speak, by polluting the internet. They want you to believe what's on the mainstream media, and they must confuse us by putting these phony theories like a flat earth all over the YouTube. There is method in their madness. Please note that this image of a clear full moon in which the circular meteorites around the outside of the moon look like ellipses. That proves that the moon is a globe, and therefore the earth also must be a globe. They don't show this for one very simple reason. They are lying, and they know they are lying. And you must beware, because all of this is about to take place. The Antichrist is about to appear. You have to remember now, because you won't be told then. And all of my efforts to debunk the Antichrist false flag will fall on deaf ears, because people will say, oh, who can believe what you see on YouTube? They promote stupid ideas like a flat earth. So remember, I warned you ahead of time, and don't forget my next video in which I show that the Mashiach will indeed kill Obama. And if you would like more information about my ministry, please visit my thirdeaglemedia.com website.